Hello, everyone. Welcome back to another edition of StarSound Speaks. This is episode 140. This is your host, Irliana Samsara of StarSoundAstrology.com. So this is the new moon in Capricorn and the magical Venus Cazimi coming up on Saturday. So let's get into it and give you all the cool, juicy dates. Okay. New moon in Capricorn, new beginnings. Capricorn, Saturn is the lord of this. I was going to say eclipse. I'm so done with eclipses. Let's have a break, right? Saturn is the host of this new moon cycle. Every late December to late January, we're in Capricorn season. So the new moon in Capricorn is about new beginnings, new structural beginnings, foundations. You know, Capricorn's about the material world, the wealth of the earth, material foundations that will ground us, and structures, reality. What does Saturn also rule? Endings, boundaries. It can be about fear and loneliness and melancholy and depression, right? The hard side of Saturn. But it's also about taking responsibility, being in integrity, establishing reality checks, right? So this is a new moon cycle that's very, very potent. Very much, and as I said in the 2022 forecast, these next 2 months are definitely about, work it, baby, work it, right? Because you got Saturn ruling both lunations, Capricorn and Aquarius, right? Those are Saturn. That's the Saturn Airbnb. So we are definitely clearing, as we are doing now, like clearing. This is a great new moon for establishing what is it that you want to achieve this whole year, not just this lunation, right? This whole year. Definitely the new, when you think about culturally, the New Year's resolution, we happen to always have the sun in Saturn, in Saturn sign in Capricorn. So the resolve and the laying the groundwork and getting real, and putting our focus and determination on what we want to achieve and where we want to go. So that is the energy of the new moon in Capricorn. When you have a new moon, whatever sign it's in, you always want to wait. You don't want to start making things happen and manifesting on the day of the new moon, because the moon is dark. You don't see it in the sky yet, right? You want to wait until it starts getting a sliver. So today, January 4th, is tomorrow, is great because the moon is now in the sky, visible. So you want to be, that's a better time for getting things moving, right? The first quarter of a moon cycle is always the best time. It's the crescent, right? It's like that upward push of moving things forward. Once we get to the full moon, it's the flowering of what we've been working on, right? It's like the fruit and the flowers are juicy on the tree. Think of those big juicy oranges, and it's the fruit of our efforts. And then, of course, the end of the cycle, it's the waning cycle. But right now, great time to get things going. Venus is retrograde. We have started this year, as well as this new moon cycle with retrograde Venus. Mercury is in shadow, and it's going to go, Mercury is going to be completely retrograde on January 14th. So that's in 10 days. And that will be retrograde at 10 degrees of Aquarius. So wherever it is, wherever you have Aquarius in your chart, in 10 degrees Aquarius, that is that area of your life that you're going to revisit your beliefs. Relationships come to an end that aren't working. We revisiting our beliefs and our contacts and our networking and how we network. The fact that Mercury is in Aquarius, and it's going to be conjunct Saturn, right? Is in Saturn's house, arm in arm with Saturn. So it's going to take a little walk. It's going to take like this, think about like a monk, a young monk, Mercury, right? The ADD poster boy of the zodiac, right? Taking a walk in an ashram with the senior Zen monk, like the dude that has been doing this his whole life, and here's little grasshopper. Remember Kung Fu Grasshopper. So here's Mercury conjunct Saturn, retrograde in Aquarius. That's that part of ourselves that is like, yeah, I'm curious about things. And Saturn's walk, when he's conjoining Saturn for that retrograde, which is going to be until February 3rd. And it's definitely a time where we're looking at our beliefs and maybe it's a little bit about growing up too, like getting a little more Saturn seriousness. Maybe we get serious about our curiosity. When you think about Mercury being that sign of a curiosity and developing ideas, quicksilver, you know, always moving in so many directions. But maybe Saturn is like saying, okay, grasshopper, you know, slow down. Get real, and you know, put some glue in your pants and sit down. You know, we have some things to tell you that are going to help you, but it might be a little more serious this time, right? With Mercury retrograde in Aquarius. If you want to get progressive about the future, if you want to have a idealistic society that's going to be there for unity consciousness, you know, this is the time where that Mercury retrograde will be developing, you know, is a reality check on our plans and our beliefs, or how futuristic or how progressive do you really think you are? When I say progressive, I don't mean it in a political way, although, you know, Saturn, you know, Aquarius, you could certainly take it that way, but it's really more about progressive, meaning what is best, what will improve our lives, right? And so that's going to be a pretty interesting little walk down those about roughly 3-week transit. When it stops and goes direct on February 3rd, that is going to be conjunct Pluto. It'll be at the degree 24 degrees of Capricorn, where Pluto's hanging out. So once it has this, you know, you think of that young monk walking with the monk in the ashram grounds, right? These 3 weeks are like that. Then it will stop, and then, you know, Pluto, Lord of the underworld, will take that little young monk of us, you know, that part of us that's that young monk, that earnest, but wants to develop, right? And then Pluto's like, okay, dude, you know, let's make some fundamental changes here, right? So Saturn, like the Zen monk, hands it off to Pluto. So fundamental belief changes that would really like rock our world. And I could say too, you know, relationships and connections that we have with others, and our ideas and attitudes and beliefs and how we connect with others. These are all up for review in these critical few weeks. So that's our Mercury retrograde thing. I want to just jump back chronologically to that takes care of Mercury retrograde. But before we get there, this Saturday, January 8th, we're having that magical window again. Venus Cazimi. I love that word. It's so Cazimi. So what does that mean? If you're new to the channel and you've not heard the other podcasts where I've talked about different planets, will, as they move, you know, around in orbit, planets will conjunct the sun. It'll line up with the sun. And when they pass in the rays of the sun, there's this magical moment. And for Venus, it's going to be this Saturday evening. I'm using Eastern Standard Time, so just adjust accordingly. Venus will be Cazimi with the sun on Saturday, January 8th. What does that mean? Well, it's like, if you could imagine being like invited to a palace, and you are, you know, you have to get through the palace gates, and there's a lot of guards, and it's heat. You got to go through the heat to get to talk to the president or the prime minister or the, you know, the big cheese, you know, the king or the queen or whoever that might be. In this case, it's Venus, you know, in Capricorn. So we'll say it's this serious, authoritarian kind of person. The God, you know, God or the divine is in the aspect of what is essential and what is right for the long term. So it's like a secret audience that Venus, our planet of love and harmony and connection, is having with the sun. And it's magical because coming into and out of the palace, you got these strong palace guards, right? It's like they're chasing, you know, it's difficult. It's like when Venus is being burned up by the sun, as she gets close to the sun, she gets burned up, but she's in this, but once you're in that throne room with the king, so to speak, or the queen, then there's this protection, right? And then you have your little quick little parlay where he, you know, whispering in your ear to get this cosmic download, right? It's a very pure, sacred, magical time, great for prayer and meditation. And then once it leaves, it's, you know, you don't see Venus, leaves, gets chased out by palace guards, right? The sun burning, you know, all right, we said what we needed to tell you, now GTFO, I was like, okay, and you have to wait until Venus emerges. But Venus comes from being the evening star in this magical conjunction. It's Venus in the underworld, and then it emerges as the morning star. So Venus Hesperus right now, evening star, is Venus in a more laid back, like, darling, flannel pajamas, silk pajamas, right? This is this laid back yin kind of expression of Venus. Once she chats with the sun and gets this cosmic download, then she comes out, emerges as the morning star. So for the next several months, we'll have Venus in the morning sky rather than the evening sky. Venus Lucifer, Lucifer meaning light bearer, right? So the bearer of light. So she's more like badass, right? It's like yang energy, get things done, standing up for our rights. I could see Venus the Cazimi with Venus and the Sun in Capricorn this Saturday. What you might want to meditate on or reflect on is, who do I love? Who am I loyal to? What am I loyal to? How can I take, is this reality check, because it's Capricorn, what needs to end indoor, what needs to be established that will create foundations and structures of love and harmony and grace and equality and fairness. And, and how I love and listen to people, and what structures and even family, when you think about family lineage, Saturn, Capricorn, families and relationships, what needs to be with the underworld of Pluto, what needs to be discarded that is toxic, that must be healed. How do we heal this, and what do we do to heal? But the healing and regenerating ourselves from old toxic family patterns is a really big deal for this whole Venus retrograde. But she has this private audience with the sun at 7:47 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. It'll be exact. But the 18 degrees, 43 minutes, but it actually starts 8:47 in the morning, again, Eastern Standard Time, please adjust, 8:47 a.m. And by 11 hours later, at 7:45 p.m. to 7:47, that's when she has that private audience and turns around and will emerge as the morning star. So it's like it's a very sacred time. So that would be a great time to be in prayer and writing out our heart's desires, thinking and speaking and praying from our heart. Maybe you want to journal and, just ask yourself these questions, that call to you really deeply. How do you want this year to be when it comes to love and connection and relationships? And really speak your mind, because the divine, there's a very powerful, your trumpet, to the divine at that time. And it will be finished, it'll leave that 18-degree point at 2:25 a.m. Eastern Standard Time on Sunday morning, January 9th. So you actually have we have a great window of time. We have busy lives. We may not be able to get to it at the exact Cazimi moment, but we can always program and fold time, because, we are fabulous light beings that can do anything. Jupiter's in Pisces, right? Believe in yourself, believe in your higher self. So there's that Venus Cazimi. January 12th, Mercury will be conjunct Saturn. So that's like, I want to speak to the manager, right? The manager, Saturn and Aquarius. But anyway, so that Mercury-Saturn conjunction, which of course it hooks up with Saturn, and the manager wants to speak to Mercury, like, come over here, little boy. So there's that very, it's an important time for a reality check where there are attitudes and our thoughts and our beliefs, and the way in which we think and process is also a Mercury thing, data and things. So this is a very powerful time, this mid to late January. January 16th, Pluto will be conjunct the sun. And that is definitely, talk about the sun shining on any kind of yucky old survival structures, unconscious beliefs, unconscious patterns, especially in our family line, our family lineage. The sun is shining a light on this, like, get real, let's clean this up, let's think long term, let's do what's best, and let's regenerate. Let's don't get angry at the toxicity, say, okay, we get it. how we get to cleanse and purify and use that toxicity as like the fossil fuel, the fertilizer. What can we create that's new and sustainable? What are healthy boundaries and relationships that we can now invent? You know, having experienced the toxic, unsustainable conditions of living, what can we now create that will work and will stay with us for a lifetime? Healthy patterns and boundaries, and the ability to purge and regenerate and you know, reinvent ourselves and our relationships. This is a very deep conversation we're having. That prepares us for the next day, January 17th. We're going to have a very powerful full moon, because as the sun and Pluto are having that deep conversation, it's the full moon at 27 Cancer. So issues of women, the goddess, how we nurture ourselves, our family environment, our home environment, the environment in which, what kind of environment do we find comfort in? How do we heal? These are all Cancerian themes that are coming to the forefront. So all the work we've been doing this month from now until the full moon is about building the structures, right? Sound, sustainable structures. And then what are the fruits of our effort, and how do we integrate our emotions and our vulnerability in with the things that need to be done, the heavy conversations that need to be had, but how do we do that with caring and concern and intimacy and vulnerability, allowing our feelings to come up. You know, this is going to be a deep one, this full moon, because it's, you know, that Pluto conjunction. So get out the Kleenex, buy some Kleenex, get puffs, right? So your nose doesn't get red, you know, or let it get red, right? Be vulnerable. It's all right with me, whatever it takes. But the full moon in, you know, at a late degree of Cancer, conjunct Pluto, yes, definitely get the puffs, right? We may have some very deep cathartic emotional experiences coming to the fore. The next day, this is, like I said, it's a juicy month and a juicy new moon. The next day we have our nodes, the true nodes, lunar nodes, will finally shift into Taurus and Scorpio. So it'll be 29 degrees. The north node will be 29 degrees, 59 minutes of Taurus, and the south node will be in Scorpio. And I've talked at great length about this. You can check the 2022 video, episode 139, where we get deeply into this. This is where our eclipses just started to happen, November eclipse, and now for the next year and a half, we will have all of these eclipses will be in the signs of Taurus and Scorpio. So values, money, values, our connection with the earth, our connection with each other, forging new connections, new ways of being and relating, letting go of control, of old survival programming, you know, etc., are going to be at the forefront. I find it really interesting that Mars is going to be at 26 Sagittarius around the 18th, will be conjunct the galactic center of the Milky Way, which is about 26 degrees Sagittarius. And that's like a whistleblower point. So we might find some strong, powerful, courageous statements about truth and higher wisdom and spirituality and justice, fairness, rights. That will be very prominent around the 18th of the month. There was an eclipse very close to that last year, 23 degrees of Sag. Which was very big for Donald Trump, Ghislaine Maxwell, Prince Andrew. Oh, wow, look at that. All those guys are in the news right now. So, interesting, right? So that's what's going on up until the 18th. And then the last like really big thing I want to talk about today is just Venus will finally station retrograde at the end of the month, the end of the moon cycle. The next new moon will be February 3rd in Aquarius. But January 29th, Venus will station direct in the sign of Capricorn, and that will be, let us see, share the screen. Venus will go conjunct, no, Venus retrograde. Let us pull this up, go to the videotape. Okay, January 29th at 11 degrees of Capricorn. And this is all taking place in the second house of the USA chart, which rules banks and money systems. So I would not be surprised if to see a significant conversation emerging where, especially with Venus Cazimi, you know, shh, quiet, hush, hush, you know, inspiration about our money system in the mundane world, money, currency, there could be a change in currency or new agreements forged about currency and values and such, and the banking system. So, you know, it's a like I said, it's a really powerful time. So here's Venus on the day it goes direct on in January 29th, which is a Saturday. And then bing, see, turns black, right? And then she starts to move back and hang out with Pluto again, and that'll be like March 3rd. So we won't be covering that part on this video today, but just wanted to bring that to your attention. When Venus stations direct, all the reconsiderations about and reworkings about love, family relationships, both personal, business relationships, intimate partners, business partners, all of these things coming to the fore, where we have this, you know, our meditation on and our reworkings and our revisiting all of the subjects around, you know, how we relate, how we listen, even, you know, how we connect with others. Now, when it goes direct, it's ready to move forward in a new, renewed way, in ways that are healthy boundaries, sustainability. I always think of that with Pluto. Yeah, facing your fears, but out of that comes strong, healthy, resilient, regenerated models for relating with others, relating with society, honoring the earth. You know, you think about Pluto rules the wealth of the earth. I think of crystals, in Capricorn, right? Crystals and just wealth in general, metaphorically, physically. So maybe it's, you know, we could certainly see this as an incredible time to connect with nature and to fall in love with nature, to fall in love with ourselves and consider ourselves in these new domains, new ways of relating. So that is my talk for the new moon in Capricorn and the month of January. So I hope that all made sense. Please let me know how you're doing and what kind of goals are you setting, stepping out and being outrageous as we have our march into, you know, with our Jupiter and Pisces. So let me know how you're doing. Always grateful for your likes, shares, subscribes. If you like this, just give it a little thumbs up. That's always helpful. And if you desire a session, whatever, you can always reach me, StarSoundAstrology.com. Always happy to assist. Let me know how you're doing. Just leave a comment below, or you can, you know, zip me an email, irliana@starsoundastrology.com. So have a great, fabulous, productive and successful new moon in Capricorn. This is Irliana Samsara, StarSound Speaks, StarSoundastrology.com. Thank you all for listening. Namaste.